For many years, royal watchers have admired the public image of unity inside the British monarchy. Whenever Prince William, Catherine, King Charles, and Queen Camilla appeared together, the world saw carefully staged photographs filled with smiles, handshakes, and formal gestures. These moments suggested peace and cooperation between the different branches of the royal family. Yet, insiders have long hinted that beneath the polished appearances, there were cracks forming. Catherine, now the Princess of Wales, often carried herself with elegance and calm dignity, but her position as a future queen made her both respected and envied. According to palace staff, small but consistent signs of tension with Camilla were noticed over the years. Invitations to important events would sometimes arrive later than expected for Catherine, or her seating would mysteriously be rearranged at the last minute. While these actions could be explained away as coincidence, those working closely behind the scenes believed it was part of a subtle rivalry. Catherine never allowed these situations to affect her outward behavior. She smiled warmly, spoke kindly, and carried on with her duties. However, those closest to her could feel the quiet strain. They noticed the brief, frosty silences, the polite but distant smiles exchanged between Catherine and Camilla when cameras were present. For a long time, this undercurrent of tension stayed hidden from the public eye, buried beneath the grand traditions and formalities of the monarchy, that is, until one unforgettable evening brought everything to the surface. The event that changed everything was not just an ordinary royal banquet, but a dinner held during the G20 summit in London. The gathering was meant to highlight the monarchy's role as a symbol of stability and prestige in the eyes of world leaders. Buckingham Palace prepared for weeks, polishing every chandelier, arranging flowers in perfect symmetry, and ensuring that the menu reflected the grandeur expected at such an international event. Catherine arrived in a gown of deep jewel tones, chosen to reflect strength and elegance. Her jewelry and hairstyle were carefully selected to balance tradition with modernity. Every detail was meant to show her as a strong future queen. At first, the evening seemed to be going smoothly. Leaders and diplomats exchanged polite conversations, crystal glasses clinked softly, and Catherine carried herself with the calm grace that had made her so admired. Yet, beneath the glow of chandeliers, the tension that had long simmered in private was about to explode into the open. At the last moment, Catherine was placed far from key leaders at the dinner table. A small detail to outsiders, but a significant slight in the strict world of royal protocol. It was the kind of move that could quietly push someone to the margins of influence. Still, Catherine refused to let it show, and focused on her new table companions. But the evening's true scandal had only just begun, and within moments, the eyes of the world would be upon her in the most humiliating way. As the second course of the meal was served, a waiter approached with a tray of fine red wine. Everything seemed carefully planned, each step of the service smooth and deliberate. Yet, as he neared Catherine's place, something unexpected happened. A glass shifted ever so slightly, throwing off the waiter's balance. In an instant, the tray tipped, and a flood of deep red wine spilled across Catherine's gown. The jewel-toned fabric, chosen so carefully to project strength and elegance, absorbed the stain immediately, leaving a cruel mark across the dress. Gasps echoed around the table as cameras flashed, capturing the moment from every angle. In that single second, what should have been a proud evening for the Princess of Wales turned into a deeply embarrassing spectacle. Catherine, ever composed, quickly dabbed at the gown and reassured those around her that she was fine. Her smile, though brave, carried a flicker of discomfort that was impossible to ignore. But what happened next shifted the entire mood of the room. From the head of the table came a burst of laughter, sharp, sudden, and unmistakably out of place. William's eyes immediately found Camilla's face, and what he saw convinced him that the moment was not just an accident. She was hiding a smirk, and for William, that was the final straw. Years of quiet tension had finally reached their breaking point. The rest of the dinner passed with outward normalcy. Speeches were made, applause followed, and toasts were given. Yet for Prince William, every moment after the wine incident felt heavy with anger and betrayal. Watching his wife sit in a ruined gown, while his stepmother appeared to enjoy the spectacle, was something he could not forgive. Raised to always put the crown before personal feelings, William had learned how to control his emotions in public, but behind closed doors, he was determined to uncover the truth. When the evening ended, and the guests had departed, he confronted Camilla directly in a private reception room. In a calm but firm voice, he asked whether the seating change, the spill, and even the laughter were her doing. Camilla denied it all, insisting that the evening had simply been an unfortunate series of accidents. But William was not convinced. Her steady, almost defiant expression only confirmed to him that she felt untouchable. Over the following days, whispers began to spread through the palace. Staff members who had once kept silent started sharing what they knew. A senior aide admitted privately that the seating change had indeed been requested by Camilla's office. Security footage revealed her speaking to the waiter shortly before the spill. Notes and emails hinted at deliberate planning, including the serving of red wine that perfectly matched the color of Catherine's gown. To William, the evidence painted a clear picture. This was no accident. Once William had reviewed all the evidence, the footage, the testimonies, and the documents, he knew the matter could not simply be dismissed as rumor. In his study, surrounded by the quiet weight of centuries-old paintings and royal history, he came to a firm decision. What had happened to Catherine was not just a personal slight, it was a public humiliation witnessed by world leaders, a breach of dignity that threatened the credibility of the entire royal family. William was not just a husband defending his wife, he was the future king defending the honor of the crown. When Camilla entered the room for a private meeting, William kept his tone steady but unyielding. He told her plainly that the events of that night were unacceptable and that he had proof they were deliberate. He demanded two things. First, a private and sincere apology to Catherine, and second, the removal of certain ceremonial privileges Camilla had been enjoying as queen consort. For William, this was not about stripping titles for revenge, but about making sure that respect for Catherine and the monarchy itself was restored. He warned her that if the palace refused to act, he would not hesitate to reveal the truth publicly, regardless of the consequences. This was not a son speaking to his stepmother, but a future king declaring that loyalty and respect were no longer optional within the royal household. The moment marked a shift in William's role. From the supportive heir quietly waiting his turn to a decisive leader ready to defend the values he believed the crown must represent. William's firm stance immediately sent shockwaves through the palace corridors. Staff whispered, advisors debated, and senior royals found themselves caught between two sides of a conflict that had no easy solution. On one hand was Camilla, the queen consort and wife of the reigning king. On the other was William, the heir to the throne, whose determination to protect his wife and set a higher standard for royal conduct resonated with many. King Charles faced a painful choice. Protecting Camilla would risk alienating his son and the future of the monarchy. Supporting William, however, would mean undermining his own wife and breaking with long-standing royal tradition. The matter was so serious that an emergency meeting of the Privy Council was called. Legal advisors, senior officials, and trusted members of the royal household debated late into the night. Some warned that removing privileges from a queen consort would be unprecedented and could trigger a constitutional crisis. Others argued that William's demand reflected the very values integrity, respect, and accountability that the monarchy needed in order to survive in the modern age. As the debates unfolded, the image of Catherine sitting at that dinner table in her stained gown lingered in Charles's mind. The quiet dignity she had shown in the face of humiliation contrasted sharply with the laughter that had erupted across the hall. In the end, the choice became unavoidable. The following morning, the palace summoned the press to an unexpected briefing. Standing before a sea of flashing cameras, William delivered a speech that would make history. Without hesitation, he announced that certain ceremonial privileges of the queen consort were being withdrawn, effective immediately. He explained that this rare step was necessary to preserve the honor of the crown and to demonstrate that no one, regardless of title, was above the values of respect and dignity. The press erupted in shock.